Welcome back. All right, so scanning through the comment section, as I do, as a YouTuber and all that, saw a comment about, hey, do a video on Marty St. Louis, and I thought, I've done a video on Marty St. Louis. There's no way I haven't. Got all these career videos. Can't find one, so here we are. And if I've done it before, act like this is new. So Marty St. Louis is a player who was never drafted, and he gets brought up a lot. When you talk about guys who aren't drafted and what they might be able to do, Marty St. Louis' name comes up a lot. The interesting thing is, Marty St. Louis is the Hall of Famer that almost didn't happen. First off, due to his size, completely overlooked. Hockey scouts are not all that anxious about guys. They're not excited about guys who are smaller now. But back in the mid-90s, good luck. It was a big man's game. And it was seen that, in that era, you had to be a big player to be in the NHL. Very much more physical, less skill, more about the size and the strength and all that. Not that St. Louis didn't have the strength, but that meant that whatever points he put up in college, whatever points he put up in any league at any level, that would be looked at by scouts, potentially by general managers, and it was, yeah, he's got skill, but he'll get killed at the NHL level. So he was never drafted. And so he comes into the league a lot later than he might have, and he doesn't play as many games as he should have either. So February 19th of 1998, he's signed as a free agent by the Calgary Flames, who don't have a lot of faith in him out of the gate. 13 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Not a lot there. He's got the effort, but again, he's smaller. So what are you going to do with a smaller player? You can't just hand him a top 6 role, and smaller guys really aren't designed for that. The bottom 6 role, like you look at bottom 6s now and how skilled and fast they are, not back then. It's a completely different game. So 1999-2000, he plays 56 games in Calgary, 3 goals, 15 assists, 18 points. Now, what's interesting with Marty St. Louis isn't just that in Calgary he's not getting ice time. He's sometimes a healthy scratch, and there's not a lot of faith in him there. He's exposed in the expansion draft. They don't protect him. This is the draft where Minnesota and Columbus are coming in. Just imagine the Minnesota Wild if they drafted Marty St. Louis or Columbus and what they might have been able to do. But just the idea of if you had St. Louis playing with Gaborik, man, maybe Minnesota knocks out Anaheim in 2003. Maybe we're talking about a different champion in 2003, such as life as a fan of Minnesota teams, right? But after he's not grabbed in the expansion draft, Calgary buys him out. No plans to use him. And so he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And some teams looked at him and said, maybe. He ends up signing in Tampa because he believes they will actually give him a chance to play. So for teams that were maybe on the fence and, well, we'll see, and, maybe you'll get a spot, he wanted to go somewhere that he had a chance to play, and it was going to be Tampa. Tampa Bay at the time, not a Stanley Cup champion. Not going really well there. His first year in Tampa, 78 games, 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points. Interestingly enough, in his first month and a half there, it's not going great, and sometimes he's a healthy scratch. And so it doesn't look like he's going to be a major player there either. And Marty St. Louis is a good example of why I don't discount players who are smaller. I also don't discount players who have failed on one team because you can sometimes need that change of scenery to really find that place where you belong, right? We still see that now with players that might not play a lot. They end up somewhere else and they really excel. So the following season, he only plays 53 games, 16 goals, 19 assists, 35 points because he suffers a broken leg in January in a game against Pittsburgh. So through the first 2 years in Tampa, he's paced out at about a 20-goal scorer, decent forward. And the storyline is about, how hard of a worker he is and how good of a team player he is. 2002, 2003, he breaks through big time. 82 games, 33 goals, 37 assists for 70 points. And this is the first year Tampa makes the playoffs in his stay there. 11 games, 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. He also was in the All-Star game that year. So this is where the narrative of what was Calgary thinking really starts to show up. And then he ends up being part of what you would consider like the ultimate revenge story. It really is like a Hollywood movie. He gets cut by the Calgary Flames, and then he helps cost them a Stanley Cup in 2004. 03-04, 82 games played, 38 goals, which is 4th in the league that year. 56 assists, which is 1st, and he leads the league with 94 points. In the playoffs, 23 games, 9 goals, 15 assists, 24 points. He wins the Stanley Cup. He's a first-team All-Star. He wins the Hart Trophy. He wins the Art Ross Trophy. He wins the Pearson, which is now known as the Ted Lindsay. And, of course, he goes to the All-Star game. He's the 8th player in NHL history to win the Cup, the Hart, and the Art Ross in the same year. I know Gretzky did it. I want to say Lemieux, but it's interesting that that's something that very rarely happens. Based on 03-04 alone, you can make the argument, so yeah, Hall of Famer. He's in the Hall of Fame, but the rest of it you might be able to make an argument against, I guess. But I think it'd be a difficult argument to make. 05-06, so after the lockout wiped out season of 04-05, he plays 80 games. His scoring takes a step back, 31 goals, 30 assists, 61 points. And then in the playoffs, 5 games, 4 goals, and no assists. So it's a step back, right? And this is where people could make the argument after 05-06, well, yeah, 03-04 was this great dream year for him and he won all these awards, but it's a one-year thing. It's a career year. And if you had that opinion at that point, he proved you wrong the following year. 06-07, 82 games played, 43 goals, which is 5th in the NHL, 59 assists, which is 9th, 102 points, which is 5th. So another one of those check marks in the Hall of Fame category is a 100-point season. He gets it. And in the playoffs, 6 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. He's a second-team All-Star, and he's in the All-Star game that year. So he bounces back nicely from that 61-point season. 07-08, 82 games. So he has a nice record of not missing games here after that broken leg in 01-02. 25 goals, 58 assists, which is 7th, 83 points, and he's in the All-Star game. So again, every year he's an All-Star, point-per-game player at the very least. 08-09, 82 games, 30 goals, 50 assists, 80 points. And again, he goes to the All-Star game. So Marty St. Louis is somebody you can depend on, very reliable. If you had him in your fantasy league, you probably really appreciated having him there. 09-10, 82 games, 29 goals, 65 assists, which is 5th, 94 points, which is 6th in the NHL. So very good passing skill and a pretty good shot to keep teams honest, right? Second team All-Star, and he wins the Lady Byng. And he's second in Lady Byng voting a couple of times as well. 2010-2011, 82 games played again. 31 goals, 68 assists, which is 5th overall that year. 99 points, which is 2nd in the National Hockey League. And in the playoffs, they go on a bit of a run. They end up running into Boston, and it's a hard-fought series against Boston that Tampa Bay loses as Boston wins the Cup. But 18 games played, 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points. He's a second-team All-Star. He wins the Lady Byng Trophy, and he goes to the All-Star game as well. So he is multiple Lady Byng trophies, Hart Trophy, Art Ross. He's got the silverware that you can already argue if he had quit after 2010-2011, said, I'm good. Still Hall of Fame. 2011-2012, 77 games, 25 goals, 49 assists, 74 points. Excellent totals all around. Reliable. 2012-2013, lockout shortened season. 48 games, 17 goals, 43 assists, which is 1st. 60 points, also 1st. He's a second-team All-Star. Wins the Lady Byng again, so that's the 3rd. And he wins the Art Ross Trophy. So gentlemanly player, very good player, point scorer, and it is rare for somebody as old as Marty St. Louis is at this point to win the Art Ross. So when we look at the year that Ovechkin's currently having as I'm recording this, it is similar to Marty St. Louis in that he's getting older and it really doesn't show. He's really not looking older. 2013-2014, 62 games played, 29 goals, 32 assists, 61 points. But as good as he is, he ends up getting traded because he requests a trade. The first time he requested a trade to the Rangers apparently was 2009, but he eventually gets that. And why did he want to trade? Well, what's interesting is 2014 is an Olympic year. He goes over and he wins gold with Canada. Well, that wouldn't make him want to trade. The problem is the GM picking the Olympic team is Steve Yzerman, also the GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he overlooks St. Louis and picks Stamkos. When Stamkos can't go, St. Louis goes over as a replacement. So St. Louis wins the Olympic gold, but it never really, you get the feeling that, and the rumors at the time were he never really got past that. So he was traded March 5th of 2014 with a 2015 second-round pick, which moves around and ends up being Shillington's, drafted by the Flames, in exchange for a 2014 first, which ends up with the Islanders. Ho-Sang was drafted there. 2015 first, Islanders drafted Ho-Sang. or drafted Beauvillier, I should say. I was saying that, Beauvillier. 2015 7th round pick, and Ryan Callahan. So, huge trade, right? So now he's going to the Rangers. After that trade, it didn't seem to fit very well. 19 games, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. So, you could be forgiven for looking at the Rangers going to the playoffs and saying, well, maybe they can do something for St. Louis, but he doesn't seem to be fitting in that well. He does in the playoffs. When the Rangers go on a run, Marty St. Louis is a big part of it. 25 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. So very solid production in the playoffs for Marty St. Louis. Played very, very well. 2014-2015, his final NHL season, played 74 games with the Rangers, 21 goals, 31 assists, 52 points. He's still very skilled. It's not like in his final year he couldn't score, he couldn't skate, he wasn't any good. And in the playoffs, 19 games as the Rangers go on another run. Henrik Lundqvist was a huge part of that. 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points. So at the end of his career, he's played 1,134 games, 391 goals, 642 assists, 1,033 points. In the playoffs, 107 games played, 42 goals, 48 assists, 90 points. He has a Stanley Cup to his name. He has 2 Art Rosses to his name, a Hart Trophy, second-team All-Star 4 times, first-team All-Star once, Lady Byng trophies as well. He wins silver for Team Canada at the 2008 and 2009 World Championships. And in 2018, he was inducted into the the Hockey Hall of Fame. The one thing with the Hall of Fame that I think people forget is that the Hall of Fame has nothing to do with the National Hockey League. In all honesty, it's its own entity. So it's an honest mistake when I say the NHL's Hall of Fame, but it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. So you don't have to have played in the NHL to make it into the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's players who haven't played in the NHL that did make it into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Marty St. Louis, nice long career in the NHL, but it's one of those ones that you look at and say, now, if Calgary cuts him, they buy him out. If Tampa Bay doesn't have faith in him, if he ended up somewhere else, maybe we don't get this career. Maybe Marty St. Louis just wouldn't have been given that chance, and he would have eventually kind of given up, maybe, and or gone over to Europe like some players do when they can't make it to the NHL level. So it's an interesting story because, again, not every player necessarily has a great environment to succeed right out of the gate. And for St. Louis, he found that in Tampa, and he got himself a cup with it as well. So there you go. Career of Marty St. Louis. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.